Hello lovelies, welcome to my channel. It's Hila here, Saturday Night Stitch, and thank you so much for tuning in. Today is a browse through of the February issue of Burda Style. And before I jump into it, I just wanted to share with you some of these daffodils that are coming through in my garden. I've got some bright pops of yellow from the daffodils that are just beginning to show up as a harbinger for spring. So spring is on its way. And as well as the daffodils, I've got some of these little winter jasmine, which have these small, tiny little pops of yellow color. So yellow and yellow, definitely the color for spring. Wherever you are in the world, I am sending you a lovely bouquet of spring flowers, just to remind you that if you're a fellow warm weather lover like me, spring is coming. It is on its way. And appropriately, the Burda Style issue, the English issue here, has got yellow accents, which I thought was really lovely and inspiring. Right, we're just going to put the, sorry about that, just put the flowers out of the way. We've got the line drawings over here. Okay, let's get started with this browse through. So overall, I'm quite impressed with the new format that they have put in. So they've changed up the format a little bit, and I'll show you how. I think that they are all the styles at a glance page, all the models at a glance. It's a nice improvement because they are now showing you the line drawing next to the dress garment itself. So I think that that's a little bit of a nice touch, and showing you the pages so that it's easy for you to reference in the future. And that's with the English issue. I'm not sure if they've done that with the German issue as well. Okay, so jumping into it, and right off the bat, this is the pattern that I am most interested in. They've got an entire section on fashionable 1970s details, which they say are feminine silhouettes with soft colors. And I have to say that I do welcome more feminine silhouettes. Over the last few years, I have been getting rather tired of the boxy, oversized, super masculine sort of blazers and silhouettes. So it is a nice change in direction. And skirt number 109, which they start off with, I am definitely intrigued by. I quite like the silhouette. It's an A line, and it's got pockets over here, and there's some interest with the waistband. Now, the fabric that they've used is a cotton poplin. I feel that it needs to be made in a slightly heavier fabric. I think a cotton poplin for spring is just too light for my liking. I'd probably try it in a crepe or a sateen, which has just got a little bit more structure in order to hold that lovely A-line shape, and then it has a deep pleat down the center. I went to look at the pattern pieces and the instructions because, as I said, it piqued my interest, and it's definitely one of those that I think there's a good chance I would like to make. I do love skirts, and I do have a tendency to make a lot of skirts. And yeah, although I think the adaptation that I would need to make for this one would be to either reduce the width, the depth of that waistband, or make it a contoured waistband because it is just way too thick for me. But I was surprised to find out that this pattern only requires 2 meters of fabric, and I thought it would have required more, but it doesn't, because it is at heart a very simple A-line silhouette. So this is one that I was definitely like, absolutely goes on to my potential to make list. And then up next we have an oversized shirt, back to that masculine silhouette with the drop shoulder. And what's different about this one is that there is a contrasting panel over at the front here, and they've used an embroidered version of the fabric. So not particularly whelmed with this particular design. And it's quite interesting how they've gone with stripes on the trousers, stripes on the top, and stripes on the overshirt. I just think that is just way too much stripe. And then we have the midi dress, here, which has got some ruching details at the waist that cancels it out for me, but this can look very lovely on the classics or on the ones that carry a more bohemian vibe to their wardrobe. I really do love the neckline on this. It's a nice cute bateau type neckline, as well as the cap sleeves. So I think that the bodice in itself has got some really lovely details over there, and they've made it in a they've made it in a viscose, quite a shiny viscose. So there's something funky going on with the weight, with the hemline down there. So that would be something to watch out for. If you made it in something that's really floaty, you might want to let that skirt hang for a bit before you hem it so that your hem remains even. And then we have slits on the sleeves, of which I'm not yet on board with this trend where you've got the slits down the sleeve here. So this is basically your sheath dress, which is always a lovely thing to have, easy to wear with some tights and boots, or you can just wear it with some stilettos like they have done here, but not too keen on the vent, personally speaking, the little slit there. Okay, and we've got the cropped jacket again, which we've recently seen several of these in the January issue. The difference is there's some cuffing here at the wrist. Okay, not quite plus. And I thought that this was the other thing that was actually a really useful separate classic that is quite useful, that possibly makes this issue worth it. It's a really lovely trench jacket, which of course if you wanted to make it into a trench coat, you just elongate it to the length that you want to, but it's got the welt pockets over there, and it's got the asymmetrical where they've added a zipper, but you can just as easily add buttons if you wanted to. So in that regards, it is quite nice, and it is quite a versatile pattern if you are so inclined. And then we've got a continuation of this cutout trend, which seems to have been carrying over for the last couple of years. So we've got the neckline there, and we have what looks like, you know, somebody took a knife and just slashed this open. Interesting choice of fabric. They've used a ribbed fabric, so that really brings out that seam line a lot more. So yeah, I'm not as big a fan of the cutouts personally, because I get very cold. I don't get the logic. And then top number 122, it's quite lovely and stylistic because you've got some deep pleating down the sides here, which gives you that ruching effect, and that also creates this asymmetric hemline that gives some interest. Minimal bust shaping from the dots over here, and it doesn't actually have a neck opening, and it's made in a jersey, so you could have a lot of fun with this. And as you can see, the hemline looks really nice because they have reinforced it. At the back is a reinforced hemline, and it's quite nice. I like how they've styled it with the khaki pants over here and the cream. It's all very harmonious. The styling here is spot on. And then we have a blouse that's been made in a textured fabric. Yes, when we bought our house, it had textured wallpaper, so I'm just kind of thinking, oh, and it was from the 70s. So I think in the 70s, texture was a very important thing. So at least Burda is on brand with that. So simple button placket at the front, and then we've got these cuffs that don't have buttons on them, and they just sort of flap around. I would just add buttons to them. And then we have the sheath dress, which is, oh my days, it is really lovely and elegant. So it's a sheath dress, and it's double fronted over here to create what looks like a little bit of a crop top. And I love the whole silhouette. I love how they've styled it with the brown boots and the brown jacket and the pendant neckline. Everything is just on point. The only reason that I probably wouldn't make this, for me personally, is I don't have the body type that would make this look absolutely gorgeous. But it is really, Really lovely. And then we've got some more banana pants, except for this time they're 7/8, so they expose the ankle. So technically speaking, these suit the kibi gamin style because of how they're tapered at the ankle and they expose the ankle. But we've been seeing a lot of these. And then we have the standard Burda top, but this time we've got a center front seam and they've played with it here to create a chevron. And that is a lovely way to showcase a simple design feature. The Burda anniversary this year that they're celebrating, they've given us a lovely 1950s style dress with some deep pleats, and there's a little bit of a very surface level write up on Dior, Chanel, and Balenciaga as some of the the big greats in designing clothes for women, particularly at the turn of the century. And then we have the midi dress, which has got these deep pleats on the skirt as well as on the bodice itself. And out of all the 1950s styles, of which I'm a huge fan of the 1950s style, the ones that have the deep open pleats using a thick fabric like a jacquard or a taffeta are my least favorite. So I wasn't as excited about this particular one. Nice neckline though, but this sort of pleat at the front, it just adds a lot more unnecessary bulk. And I think of all the designs that you can pick from the 1950s, this not necessarily one of the best. And then there was a section here on an illustrator who's done a book about Audrey Hepburn and Givenchy. It's very cute and whimsical, but yeah, I've got a lot of books about Audrey Hepburn and Givenchy, and this didn't quite catch my eye. And then we've got another sheath dress. So again, with the sheath dresses, these long dresses that are very close silhouette, they sort of remind me of the 2000s aesthetic. If you think of that height of the Calvin Klein, Kate Moss aesthetic, that's what I'm getting. And it's like the cycle of fashion is just repeating. Oh, actually, they say 90s here. So it's like the late 90s, early 2000s. This was the thing. And so, yeah, it's quite interesting to see that. Okay, and then I thought that this dress was really, really lovely and very well executed. So it's a shirt dress and it's a long midi one. They've chosen to only button it up to the waist. So presumably the idea is you're wearing it over trousers, or you can use it as a coverall, but obviously you can easily add more buttons if you wanted to. And I think it's lovely. It's been made in what looks like a wool crepe. So it has this delicious, elegant, divine sort of drape to it, and it's been made in navy, which is always a gorgeous color. You can never go wrong with navy, and I thought that it was very, very well done. If I were to make something like this, obviously I'd be removing the cuffs or adding buttons to the cuffs, and it would make such a lovely beach coverall as well if you wanted to make it in a lighter fabric like a voile or a batiste. And then we've got the other simple Burda top, which honestly should just be kept simple by not adding a zipper at the front there. This is so not necessary. It's a loose fit top. You could make it a pullover. You don't need that zipper over at the front there. So wasn't too sure what they were going for with that. And then over here we have the slim trousers that have the opening around the ankle, and this creates the illusion of elongating your legs if that is something that you so wish to do. However, zippers down here, I'm sorry, unless if it's a tracksuit, I don't think you should be having zippers at the at your ankles here. And the crop top, we need to get past the crop top trend as soon as we can. Okay, and then we've got a very simple boxy jacket. We've been seeing a lot of these. I think 8 out of the last 12 issues have had this sort of jacket, and it's been paired up with these shorts here. I think they have been trying to make the short suits a thing for a while now. I don't know that it's taking off because I can't say that I've seen this particular trend, this particular look picking up in the mainstream. And then we come to the pinstripe dress, the blazer dress they call it, which has got some lovely DNA. It's got a foul wrap front over here, and then it's got these two double welt pockets, which just look really glamorous. No matter which way you look at it, whenever you add a double welt pocket flap, it just adds a certain level of elegance to anything that you make. And this is no exception at all. I'd be curious to see what this looks like within the Burda community. I think for an office attire, office outfit, I think it's a lovely look. And you could also wear it with a roll neck, with a turtleneck. And I just thought, surprising. I'm not normally a big fan of pinstripe, but surprisingly, I could see myself wearing this with a roll neck top. And then this section was my least favorite section, friends. So forgive me if I seem to rush through it, because it's a combination of the bright gaudiness of the 1980s, I would say, with some of the worser tendencies of the 2000s, of which I was a young girl in the 2000s, so I remember some of these things. But yeah, I wasn't too pleased with this. So we've got the cargo pants. Not necessarily how I would style cargo pants. Cargo pants are utility. They are a utility. They come from the military. The cargo pant was first made by the British Army because they wanted to have extra pockets in which for the soldiers to put the rations in. So the tradition comes from utility. And the way that it has just been styled with this shirt and these flat sandals, it's so jarring for me. I just think, what a waste. And then we've got a quilted gilet over here, which quilted gilets, they could be useful in winter. But again, this whole section, to me, it screams of creating interest by just having so many clashing elements, and it's not uplifting or inspiring to me personally. And I don't know, maybe I'm missing out on the beauty of this particular one, but it isn't. I think that if you're trying to sell the patterns, to get people to make up the patterns, to get people to keep coming back to your magazine, then you ought to be going for something that is uplifting, something that is transcendental, something that is beautiful and inspiring. And this gilet sweater shirt with sequins and giant gold bangles with hot pink biker gloves, and it everything is just, to me, it's just screaming of, it's a car crash, look at me. And you look not because you're uplifted or inspired, but you just look because you're rubbernecking. And so it is the same with the blouse on jacket, as well as the muscle top, which I think is one of the worst tendencies of what's coming up trend-wise. So the muscle top, it has this sort of pleat that's put in, and again, this is coming from the 80s, where they tried to make, the shoulder pads, and they were effectively trying to dress women to have broad shoulders, just as broad as men, and that was supposed to be the power suit. And it just, to me, it just doesn't work, because you're trying to force something else that doesn't suit. So yeah, I didn't like this one, and I don't like the muscle top. So this wasn't a particularly favorite section of mine. And then you've got the shorts over here, and that's my bias. I do like for things to be aesthetically pleasing. That is what I personally prefer. I like for things to be harmonious, and I will find them inspiring when they tend to be harmonious. And there's a tutorial here on the pocket flaps. But yeah, so that's my little rant over. Oh, final rant. I did not. Those of you that have this, I don't know if you've seen this, right? Now, I am a practical, pragmatic woman. I have 5 children. I've given birth 5 times. So there's certain things that I always think about when I look at garments. That is to say, how does one answer the call of nature in this garment? I would love to know. I really would love to know. I get that sometimes there's inspirations from couture. However, anyway, on that note, there is the best of Burda, which is just a repetition of some of the patterns that they consider to be really good. So I won't go into these ones too much because they've already been done before. What it did remind me of, though, is that I am looking forward to summer where I can be sewing up some more camis. I do love camis. I've got a pattern that I use, though, not a Burda pattern. And it's just great and it works for me. But cami tops are quite useful. Not right now, though, because we're not yet in that weather. So this is what we have, lovelies. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really, really do appreciate that. I am hoping that I will be able to make flared skirt number 109, pending finding the proper fabric for it. I'm currently going through a massive decluttering session with my fabrics, trying to make sure that I've got fabrics that are in my colors, etc. So that might be a while. So until I see you next time, happy sewing, and let's go chat in the comments box. Let me know what you're going to be making from this issue, if at all you'll be making anything from this issue. Bye.